My name is Shem from OneKitty under the company Liana Technologies. We are a fundraising platform, and what we basically do is we support individuals, organizations, and the communities in Kenya and Africa to fundraise in a transparent, accountable, and efficient manner. I feel it's because it's how, case in point, you would compare M-Pesa to Safaricom. M-Pesa is a product on its own, all under Safaricom PLC. So I think for me it's important to have both stories out because Liana is the engine behind OneKitty. Yeah, it's what is powering it. It was back in 2023. I was invited to, the Kenyan setup is, assuming you're planning a social event like a wedding, you bring your friends together, for one reason or two, in the spirit of a community, and ask them to support you in that social affair. And the Kenyan scene is big in terms of harambes and fundraising for community and social projects. So OneKitty began as a very interesting way. I had a friend who was doing a wedding, and they were planning it, and we felt that it was not really working in terms of the WhatsApp updates, how people were getting their reports, in terms of the general overview of how the funds were moving, funds coming in, and pledges. And we asked ourselves, because I was at the time with my friend called Danche, who we became co-founders in this project. And we asked ourselves, is there a better way to do this? And out of that, we were able to say, yes, there is a better way, that you can be able to collect funds seamlessly in a very transparent manner that enhances the trust of the funds being collected. And that's how OneKitty was born, from a friend's wedding into a product. And that's how our story began. I think our most unique attribute is one, we've domiciled the contributions to your most basic level. That is your WhatsApp groups, your Telegram groups, and your social groups. Secondly is the aspect of transparency. With group funds, it's been a big issue. We've seen stories of people who have done contributions, and either the treasurer or in some way, the people handling the funds, the administrators, ran away with the funds. So for us, we are big on transparency, which is, I feel, the most important thing. And again, also the accountability of funds, because you don't want your money being moved. Maybe you're doing a course, maybe a school fees fund drive, or maybe you're doing to support maybe helpless, children or home shelter, and money is used along the way for, from some dubious means, and you're not aware. So our biggest one is one we've been able to bring it back home, where it matters, because all fundraisers are now they're now mobilized through your WhatsApp group. So one, we've done it to make sure it is easier for you to access where it is, and secondly, we are big on transparency. OneKitty is now 3 years, and it's been a very interesting journey. We began the journey in 2023, actually a month like this, in June. And we began just as a small group, Actually, it was more of a test run, because we decided once the problem was solved, we realized it worked. And then at the time, we started talking to university students, because we felt this thing can explode. So we were like, do we want to continue testing it further to prove that this can work? It can be an alternative solution to how people traditionally fundraise and work out harambes. And so it began a journey from one university to the other, encouraging the young people first to use it, because we felt, given the Kenyan scene, the young people will be easier to embrace such a technological advancement and change of how things are done. So, and we began slowly the journey, one kitty after the other, another kitty after the other. And so far, we've gotten to a place where now we've done over 7,000 kitties. Yeah. So it has been an extraordinary journey, and we are happy, because even if you look at the stories, the fundraisings that are happening, the people who are doing, the harambes, if you look at the end of it all, the impact that it's giving to the society, to the people, to the community, it's so amazing. A good surprise for me is how people are actually adopting it. At first, we were not using, the crazy, marketing activities, the above the line, below the line marketing strategies. What was very interesting is when because you use a lot of automations in terms of AI to support, automation of contributions and all that. is anytime we could get into a group would allow us, maybe as a fundraising group. Remember how WhatsApp is domiciled. You have a lot of people in a group from very diverse backgrounds. The most interesting thing was the referrals that used to happen, because you'd find people are creating WhatsApp groups and adding us to it and adding our solution into it. And with the people we've never interacted with, we've never talked to, we've not even marketed anywhere. So we were just finding an uptake. So you're finding even our resources are being used, and you're like, what is happening? Because for us, it was very interesting because it was more of an explosion. We've not marketed anywhere. We've not done such big activities, just our friends group. And from that, the story just started to grow, because we're now moving from the first kitty. Now we're going to 100 kitties, 200 kitties, and yet we haven't done anything. No social media presence, nothing. So how our customers, and rather the market, has responded to us is we are supporting all types of fundraisers, from the wedding fundraisers. So for us, we just decided to change the fundraiser or Harambee to just the kitty. So we're having wedding kitties, we are having funeral kitties, we are having in terms of especially during the religious holidays, Ramadan, we're having a lot of iftar kitties, you know. We are having social drives in terms of maybe medical kitties. Maybe people are feeling unwell, they wanna, you know, do something for somebody. We're having such. We're also having, I will say, quote unquote, political kitties, given also we're in the Kenyan space, and there's a lot of public fundraisers happening. So we also have an explosion of that. We also have even, you know, people just planning a simple road trip using OneKitty. And the most interesting thing that we realized from 2024 is you're also having saving kitties, groups coming together, and they're starting to save together for maybe December holidays, maybe for something that they want to do together. So more, I can say, more of project kitties. Yeah, and the use case goes on and on and on and on. I think first the challenge has been, given that we are a fintech, of course there's the issue of just ensuring that funds are well, accounted for, and in terms of verification of your users, verification of, the funds coming in, just trying to comply with the regulatory framework. So we try so much to do that, and ensuring we are abreast with the current trends and complying, so that we don't have very dubious kitties being created on our end in the name of fundraisers. Also, another big challenge has been the number of growth. So you find that the growth is too fast. I think it's very fast, which is it's a good problem. I can say it's a good problem, because you realize you're growing so fast, and you also want to be updated in terms of what is happening in your ecosystem. Yeah, so I feel those are two of our biggest challenges. And also, again, we also want to make every fundraiser, any person doing fundraiser in Kenya, in East Africa, in Africa, they're able to use our platform. So we also want to go big on the market and make sure that every day you're creating because like myself, I'm in over 30 WhatsApp groups that are either raising funds for something and something else. Yeah, so we want to make sure that in every person, in whatever group you are, OneKitty is there to support you in that fundraiser. I think Startup 360 program has been a very good program. I'm very happy, actually. I came across it via my online spaces, and I felt the journey has been quite interesting. One of the best things I love about this program is there's I can say world-class master classes. Yeah? Where you get the best people in the industry who are the best in their field. I remember we had somebody from the telco, and you're listening to their stories, and you're listening to how they've done it, how they've grown their markets, how they're able to define their markets, how they're able to grow in new regions. And it's really mind-blowing, in terms of the effect, because the best thing is learning from somebody who has been there or has faced a similar challenge. So one thing I love about them is I can say that is more of mentorship, because masterclass is about mentorship and transferring of knowledge. So I think for me that is one of the best things. Two is about the networking opportunities. You meet your peers in the field, people who are trying to make it, people who are trying either also to raise funds, just appreciating their stories, appreciating their problems, what they're solving and how they're solving it. Yeah. What excites me about the future is, one, we've been a customer-led organization. We're actually actively listening to our customers. And when you start listening to your customers, it becomes very interesting because they start also to chat. You chat the future together. It's as a founder, it's one thing to chat the future alone, but when you're chatting it with your customers, it becomes more interesting because it means you're building something valuable. And one thing I'm looking forward to is also guided by how the far that we've come and what we've learned and what we are still applying to date is, I'm looking at OneKitty as, I'm sure there'll be very interesting iterations, either in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, which will mostly be driven by our customer feedback and our market's response. So I'm really looking at, probably we will still be big on fundraisers, but the goal is just to make sure, it's as simple as making sure right now that every person in Kenya, even as we look at the region and as we look at even the continent, is using OneKitty for their fundraise and fundraisers. As African entrepreneurs, also as Kenyan entrepreneurs, we're in a very flooded market. So, getting, people to air out your stories and to talk about your stories and being, ambassadors to your stories and the solutions that you're offering is quite amazing. Yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah.